Good morning. Happy freaking Monday. I'm Ben Frisch with bfresh.media, and this is your weekly wake-up call to kick your marketing out of bed. Now this morning, I'm a little bit behind schedule, not so bright and early, but I wanted to take a little bit of extra time to prep and research this topic because it's a big deal. It's something that you've probably heard a lot about. You might be sick of hearing about it, but it is Bill C-45, the Cannabis Act, goes into effect on Wednesday. That means that a drug that has been illegal and criminalized for over 90 years will become legal. And with this change comes lots of social, economic changes, and I want to talk about the marketing implications of that and what it means for brands and why I'm so interested in this topic. So let's go. So good marketing is about understanding human behavior and attitudes. And obviously, Bill C-45 means that behavior and attitudes are changing. And as marketers, we need to stay on top of that. I will also add that most brands will and should steer clear of the issue. You know, it's like alcohol. If you're not related in any way to that product or activity, just avoid it. It's not that big of a deal. But let's talk about some brands that are sort of jumping on board already. Most notably, there was the Hershey's brand with the O. Henry 425 bar. So this is not a marijuana product. It is just a bar that they are targeting specifically to, I would say, a very stereotypical marijuana consumer, which is like the 18 to 25-year-old male kind of stoner. What's interesting about this is that they've partnered up with Epic Mealtime, which is a YouTube channel that is equally blatant about their usage of marijuana. And so let's just show you a couple of screenshots from that. It starts off with, a bunch of guys on the couch. They're obviously stoned. There's no beating around the bush when it comes to that. And they go in search of munchies and discover the O. Henry 425 bar. And in true Epic Mealtime fashion, create a 100-pound version of the bar. So just off the top, I'm not really that impressed by the sponsored content that they created. It's kind of bland. They're really just kind of forcing this bar, for lack of a better term, down your throat. And, there's nothing special about it. I think that this is an obvious tactic to go after that kind of stereotypical demographic. And I won't be surprised if we see similar advertising from brands like Doritos or Taco Bell, right? What I'm interested in is seeing those stereotypes change, because, the reality is that marijuana is becoming legal not for young stoner men who have no ambition. That stereotype, that's not who this is for. The fact is that there are people from all walks of life who use products for recreation or medicinal purposes. And those attitudes have been changing for decades. And that's what's led us to October 17th becoming a reality. So what I'm really interested in seeing is those subtle shifts in stereotypes and cliches, right? Where typically, we might have seen a cliche of busy mom comes home from work and pours herself a glass of wine to relax. What if that changes to a cannabis product, either a joint or oils or edibles, right? That'll be kind of interesting to see. That's going to take some time. It's like how we've seen in the past, cereal commercials just insert same-sex couples or mixed-race couples. I've said before when I was talking about the Nike's Colin Kaepernick spot, what was really brilliant about that was the subtle messaging that had a really strong impact. And it was a direct reflection of the times that we live in, where, the same-sex marriage or the mixed-race couples, like, that's a reality of the world that we live in. And by reflecting that in your advertising, you're basically just, appealing to that wider demographic. You're not making any really social, political statements, but just putting a mirror up to society and acknowledging that this is a reality, and it can have a lot of impact. It can connect with more people than you think. So that's what I'm really interested in seeing, is changing that stereotype, getting away from the obvious demographics and how that's going to impact just our general social conversation about marijuana. And I think it's going to be huge. So let me know what you think. Check out my blog at bfresh.media for more. I've got a link to that 425 sponsored content from Epic Mealtime if you want to see it yourself. Also, a definition of 420 in case you need to bring yourself up on some of the lingo. Not a bad idea with this change coming into effect to get educated on what the kids are saying. But that's it for me. That's all I want to say. This is a really exciting time, and I also want to say enjoy responsibly. That's really important. And I don't think this is going to just send the country into chaos. I think it's going to be a good thing. But do enjoy responsibly. And we'll see you next Monday. Happy freaking Monday.